So the 16 days of activism starts from the 25th of November. It ends on the 10th of December. 25th of November is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Girls. This was the day when three sisters, the Mirabel sisters in the Dominican Republic, actually was murdered by the dictator in Dominican Republic. And since then, it's been marked as the day that violence, that all over the world, organizations, women stand up to say that violence against women is not acceptable and something needs to be done to end it. What is Oxfam India doing? I think for the past many years, Oxfam India has been, through its partners, doing a lot of mobilization on the ground to create awareness to the fact that violence is unacceptable. There are many forms of violence which are not even acknowledged as violence. For instance, domestic violence. People don't want to talk about it, and just get everybody to start talking about it. But I think one of the key initiatives that we are trying to do, and to get other people to think about, is the fact that we really need to start thinking beyond these 16 days. I don't think a lot of people acknowledge domestic violence for what it is. Women don't accept it, men don't accept it. There are various studies, various sets of data that is going around the town to say that, Oxfam India's baseline data also says 58%, 60% of men and women actually accept violence if women don't do their domestic chores. 6 out of 10 men, according to a recent study, say that they have been violent to their wives or to their intimate partners. I think it's the patriarchal mindset, and the mindset has been such. You've been groomed to accept that women are at a particular place in society. Their roles in society are meant to be that of a wife, if or a mother or a sister, but definitely not the more dominant person in a relationship. And often women also, question those who really try and break the stereotype. So you would have heard of the statement which says that a woman is the worst enemy of another woman, and it's also because they don't know, they are not aware of, and they have not been conditioned to think differently. And at this point of time, I do want to mention that we are not saying that get rid of all the men and let all the women come in. That's not what all of us are saying. What we're saying is that the world is big enough for both of us to live together in dignity, with our own rights. Right now, the balance is tilted against women because of the fact that it has been years of a male dominated society. It's not directed towards one man, it is the systemic understanding of what patriarchy is all about. The years? Yes and no. Yes, because I think a lot more younger people, both men and women, are questioning the traditional roles for women in society, Indian society particularly. I think a lot of recent events have also gotten both men, women thinking about the fact that there are certain things which are just not acceptable. For instance, the Nirbhaya incident was just not acceptable. Since then, there have been so many other cases of violence that have been highlighted in the media, but you also see that anger, you see that angst, that people want to come out and do something about it, but really don't know how to channel that energy, their voices. Um, but at the same time, it's a slow process. So there are certain boundaries that both men and women consciously or unconsciously accept. For instance, I think the domestic violence has changed because, you know, women in the urban areas are more independent. So then it becomes, why are you staying out late at night? Because that's what your job requires. So the dynamics of it is changing, but the acceptance is still on the higher side. I think it's still an accepted fact that if you are working, you will still come back and cook for the family. You will still do all the traditional requirements of a good wife. So it's changing, but it's not changing fast enough. And I think this is a personal take. Women are breaking that barriers much quicker than actually the men are able to take to deal with it emotionally, possibly, and also as an alternative behavior pattern. Uh, there are many instances. I think every woman who has been able to come out of violent situations in her life is a moment of victory for her. I think she is then looking at herself as a human being who has a lot of who has the right to live a life with dignity. And I think we really acknowledge their spirit and the fact that they continue to work for others. But I think one of the of course, nobody can also deny the fact that the Nirbhaya incident also has stood out as a tipping point in the way women's rights, particularly violence against women, are looked at in this country. But I think in the work that Oxfam does, one of the things that will always stick out for us is the fact that after years of negotiation with the government, when the government actually takes over a model, the Women Support Center located in the police station, and scale it up to the across the state of Gujarat. I think that's the tipping point for us. It's a success for us to say that we've been trying to convince the duty bearers, and the duty bearers are actually taking up the challenge of rolling that out to others. The one message that I would like people to take away, both women and men, is to question your action, or every action of yours. Am I actually pushing the boundaries of what it is to be a woman and what it is to be a man? Because not every man goes around hitting everybody. I know there are a lot of men who are now supportive and actually talking very actively about violence against women. So there's the He for She campaign, there's a Mud campaign, there's a Maswa. There are a lot of advertisements which are kind of talking about the changed roles for women. But it's not something that somebody else will come and do from the outside. I think it has to come from within. The change has to come from within. So if that is a process, then I think we need to keep questioning ourselves all the time. I, as a person who consider herself to be a women's rights activist, would also need to question, is my behavior, are my thoughts really the right kind of thoughts that we should be having in this changed society?